in the world of toys. Boxing, toy museums, reviews and reviews. In the world of toys. Unboxing, toy museums, reviews and reviews. Mr. Alan in the world of toys. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. When I was a kid, one of my favorite shows was G.I. Joe. So today I'm super happy because of my show, Retro, the G.I. Joe team. So please welcome the beautiful Emily, the awesome artist designer Lenny, and for the first time ever, the one and the only Tony. G.I. Joe, real American hero. So please welcome the G.I. Joe team on my show.
That was amazing.
That was awesome.
Before to start, Lenny, 1, 2, 3, shows the mug.
That's incredible.
We're not drinking brains.
We can't
just water.
start without the mug. Absolutely. So, guys, are you ready for
I
the
just have a
questions?
seltzer.
Yeah, I have, what do I have? I have a jar of peanut butter. So,
Oh, you can
Okay,
drink that.
next
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
Tony and Emily find the same mug.
We'll work on that.
Yeah,
we'll work
yeah.
on it. Yes.
I'll hook you guys up.
Thank you.
The first question is a general question to all of you because I'm falling in love with the retro line of G.I. Joe Classified. But tell me how start this idea in different side, design, marketing. Tell me how start the project of the retro line.
I think from a storytelling perspective, when we started G.I. Joe Classified, we were trying to figure out how to marry the glory of the 1980s world of G.I. Joe, but bring it into modern action figures. And so to do that, we felt like we really needed to kind of plus up or kind of modernize the characters a little bit and have push the designs on them. And we got some really good feedback from people where they're like, we like what you're doing with this, but we really miss the original designs and kind of the ridiculousness and the over-the-topness of a lot of those 1980s designs. And so it kind of came about that we wanted to be able to provide to fans the best of both worlds. So now you can have your more modernized action figures, you can have your more traditional 1980s looks if that's kind of what you identify with in terms of characters that you love. And the beautiful thing about what the team has accomplished is that they all still fit together. So you can mix them on your shelf and in your collection. So we very rarely hear from people like, oh, I only collect the retro line, which I think is a real testament to kind of what the team has accomplished.
Awesome. And,
I don't know, Tony, Lenny, do you have other differing opinions? All opinions are welcome.
No, I think you nailed it.
You definitely nailed it. I mean, maybe from a color palette perspective, we go a little brighter, a little more pop, just to kind of reflect on that cartoon feel or that O-ring toy feel. So a little bit more vibrant, perhaps, in the line.
Delineation is nice because we can go more severe on Classified, and we can go more whimsical on Retro Cardback. As whimsical as G.I. Joe will let you.
But I mean, like, I think to be fair, like Tony's point about the brighter color palette, and I think just the one of the things that I love about G.I. Joe is that it's kind of a nothing is off limits show. Like if you can figure out a way to justify its existence in the world of G.I. Joe, like you're good to go. And so I think that that's part of the whimsy for me, and part of the magic of this line is that like you could put a polar bear out with snake eyes, and everybody's like, yes, exactly. That is exactly what this line needs. Of course, a battle damaged polar bear. Great, no problem, no questions.
Shoulder
just
meat polar bear, yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of retro line, I saw in your recent stream that you reveal green shirts and bat. But I have a question about retro, but in general, how did you arrive at the final choice when for the next reveal, for example? And how long does the brainstorming usually take to choose which new figure to make? And based on what criteria do you make the final choices?
I think if we'll tackle the second question first. I think to ideate the year takes a few weeks, and then throughout the year it shifts. So a lot of that is based on like consumer want. So we'll like scour the internet and see what people are like really asking for, and whatever's rising to the top, we're like, oh, we got to make those figures. We also have to consider budget. So it's like, how much money do I have to make those figures good? So it's like, if I can't make those figures good, I can't make that figure, right? And then also it's kind of like at the end of all that, when that's all kind of strained, if you will, and we've got all that data together, we literally make a giant rollout and we figure out what figures we're going to do. And then that's always shifting depending on what we can achieve at what time and what budgets we have, essentially. So it's a team effort that kind of like ebbs and flows throughout the year.
And I think part of it is also the storytelling of, in conjunction with all of this, it's what stories do we want to tell and kind of where have we learned from the past. And one of the things we learned from the past is like our we refer to it lovingly as the year of Roadblock, where there were like 4 Roadblock figures that all came out in a 12-month period because there was a little bit of an accident, but we loved it anyway. But trying to figure out, so what kind of stories are we looking to tell throughout the year and with the waves? And if we're trying to say like, okay, we're going with kind of an air theme for when we did the Rattler and the Dragonfly, and how can you get characters that complement those offerings while still being something new that people don't have?
Yeah, you want to make mini collections essentially in the year, right? So if I'm going to make this team, who's the foil to that team? And then how can I have that battle on my shelf? And to Emily's point, that like, is it air? Is it water? Like, where are we going? G.I. Joe is so cool because it's so many missions. So where do you want to take the characters? Do you want to fight under the ocean? Do you want to fight at the pyramids? Like, you can kind of start weaving that story into the line.
And I think part of it is also really fun because with that storytelling, because G.I. Joe is all about you getting to tell your own stories with these characters. And so trying to figure out like, okay, how can these figures be used on a shelf or in photography if people are looking to do their own storytelling, and how can they use these figures? And so I think Lenny's point about making sure we have foils is great. And I think color variation is something that we're looking at a lot too, because we don't want to just give you like 12 figures that are all the same shade of green. We want to make sure that there is variance so that your shelf looks cool. And when you're getting those in the mail, you're like, oh, this is great. And there's some really cool figures that are coming out this year and early next year from a color story perspective that is really fascinating. Awesome. And Tony, I don't know if you have any color feelings about kind of where the line has been going and the crazy stuff.
Yeah, you nailed it. Whenever we're looking at character selections, we're certainly looking at color theory, and not to the extent of maybe a Rembrandt, but in the toy world, we're doing a lot of, this would look good with this guy. Maybe this is too much green in the wave. Let's kind of pull in some more colorful characters, and all that stuff comes into play.
Yeah, there's another note too. Like, speaking of color, it's like, do you have sci-fi guy? Do you have military guy? Do you have EMT guy? Do you have, so it's like how do you make the wave eclectic? Because G.I. Joe is an eclectic line. It's not all military characters, right? They're military trained, but some have different backgrounds. So it's like, how do you have that like breadth of design within a line? It's why it's such a cool line. It's like, it's not just one type of archetype of character. It's like all sorts of crazy stuff. So you got to get that in there. There was a first part of the question that I'm forgetting. It was on the retro card.
On several tangents there.
Yeah. So you were asking about the retro card back.
Was about the choices of the character, but you talk about that. I think you covered the question.
Okay, cool.
In some way. But let's talk about just because when you saw the reveal name in your last stream, you mentioned one of my 2 favorite characters, Thanks so much. I'm speaking about Monkey Ranch and Major Blood. When we can see more details about those figures?
That is a great question. We will, well, historically, we've done something for June, for Yojo June. So maybe in June. Historically, we've done things at San Diego Comic-Con, maybe San Diego Comic-Con. You never know where the world of G.I. Joe may lead you.
Also because Monkey Ranch is one of the dreadnoughts that I need now. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's
also,
a beast too.
Torch was a mind-blowing figure to me because in Italy it was really hard when I was a kid find a Torch figure. So it was really hard. I never had a Torch figure before, so it was something really, really cool to me. And listen, I have another question, but it's more generic because when I watch your stream and now you together, I feel your passion, your chemistry. Tell me something about that work together in something that you love.
I think that it's so cool for me to get to be on a team with such incredibly talented human beings. So from a marketing side, I've always been surrounded by people whose brains think similarly to how mine think. And so it's been such a cool experience at Hasbro to get to work with cross-functional teams where everybody is creative in their own way and they all bring something different to the table. But it's like the conversations that I can have with Lenny and Tony and the rest of the team is mind-blowing to me because I can be sitting here and describing something and then Lenny can be sketching and be like, you mean this? And I'm like, oh my God, that just came out of my brain. Or I could be talking to Tony about a color or how to do something or like the way that we could potentially look at something on, especially we've been working really close on some of the Ghostbusters stuff that we've been doing. And he's like, oh, well, have you considered this thing in this way? And I'm like, no, tell me more. Or like, no, we can't do that because of the type of plastic this is. You'll never get that color right. I'm like, this is amazing. I have no idea how you know all of this. But I think that is one of the things that comes across in the streams and when we're doing panels and when we're at events together is we genuinely enjoy spending time. And I don't want to speak for the boys, but I genuinely enjoy spending time with them. And I think that is something that reflects both in the work that we do and the time that we get to spend together. But the camaraderie that you see when we do things it's real. We genuinely enjoy getting to hang out with each other.
It's Emily, you said it beautifully. And I think it's kind of awesome because we're surrounded by extremely talented people, whatever their field is or whatever their concentration is, essentially. And we actually like each other. So it's kind of fun and it's easier to vibe that way. And we joke around, I would say a lot. We're always busting each other's chops, but we all work extremely hard. And I think we can we relate to each other in that way. We're on the level of workaholic. Probably yes.
We all are.
We are workaholics, but at the same time, we have fun. We're in the toy industry. This is a fun job, right? It is hard at times, but like, and the root of it, like you got to be having a good time. So we try to keep it like that, and I think our personalities kind of click that way. So it makes the job that much cooler.
Yeah, and me and Lenny have known each other for 18 years.
Yes.
And been best buds since the day we met.
That helps a bit.
That helps a bit. But then we met Emily, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago?
5 years? It's been 5 years. Isn't that crazy?
We found another special person. Me and Lenny have a special mind meld over the past 18 years. And then Emily came in and just was the cherry on the top of just being able to joke around, have fun, and play loosely with us, so it's super fun.
We got our champion, I have to say, with Emily, because G.I. Joe, we were getting it going, but I think when Emily came on the team, she championed the brand, and it was amazing to have that from a marketing business standpoint of somebody who was like, we're doing this, we're going to spearhead this brand, and we're going to get it going, and we can't thank you enough, Emily.
Aw, thanks, guys.
For sure.
That's very sweet. And I think that there's also something special about we all trust each other, and we all know that when push comes to shove, we are going to get whatever we need to done. And I think with that level of trust comes a lot of the ability to joke around, because we know that no matter what happens, we are going to get it done and have whatever the end result be beautiful. And it's really one of the things that I've really loved is sitting and watching figure reviews. And so over figure development, we have different prototypes come in. And it's so cool as somebody who, again, not my background, didn't go to art school, don't know really what I'm investigating for, but to sit and watch everybody. So we all sit around a table and we'll actually hold all the figures and look through each of the design steps and comment on them and say like, okay, this isn't right for my section. Like I have concerns about this. The fit on this isn't quite right. The tension on this isn't quite here. But it's so cool to be able to watch everybody be able to articulate what isn't quite right and then know how to fix it and know how to make sure that their passion for making sure these figures are as beautiful as humanly possible when they get into consumers' hands is really cool. It's an art form. And so I just consider myself very lucky to be part of the team.
Awesome. And also, I totally understand your feeling when you talk about to be a workaholic with passion, because I'm the same as a writer, because this Saturday I will publish my 7th novel, but so far I've written 43 novels so far.
That's
congratulations.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
So it will be released also in English, I believe. So far in Italy, but also in English. So to me, writing is I never stop myself because I love my job. So I understand when you say yes, I'm workaholic because I can't live without this because I love this. And you feel that also I feel that also when I see your show, your stream, when you talk about your release, because you feel the passion in your job. And I think it's really important also for yourself, because to be happy, you need to live with your passion, but also because toy collecting is passion. It's a mix between passion and also to stay in touch with the child inside of you. It's really important in the life also as well. So I feel that and I feel also right now, and this chemistry is beautiful.
Art becomes a part of your personality, I feel. Yeah. So like the workaholic thing, I think it's just part of our personality. We're like, even last night, I'm like, I think I'll go do that deco. And it's like after 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I'll go do that because I want to make it, right? Like, it's not like I have to make it. It's because we want to. And so many of our teammates are that way. We're like, I want to do this. And it's just because it's the nature of our job. We're a creative job. We make art collections. And I think in other toy lines too, I'm sure the designers and model artists and marketers are doing the same thing. They're like, I think I'm going to go make sure that comes out awesome. And it's a great industry to be a part of.
Absolutely. And the next question is about a reveal that you did with the digital render last stream. Talk about MMS Hawk, but also in Blowtorch we see some flame effect. But tell me something about the set with Hawk recently revealed and how started the idea, because it's a cool set. There is a lot going on in that set.
So I think
you go first, Emily.
So kudos to Tony so he does all of our digital renders for us, which is also a magical process that I do not quite understand, but he has down to a science.
It's magic.
It's just magic.
Yeah, it is magic.
To be fair, I consider most of what you do just absolute magic. So what highlights of my career at Hasbro have been sitting and watching Tony be able to paint match things from sight, because it is a witchcraft in my brain. I'm just like, how are you doing this? And who did you sell your soul to in order to be able to match colors like this? So all of the digital renders I think are really cool, but especially to be able to show off early in the process everything that comes with these bigger sets, and to have it all be able to be laid out with the level of detail that fans are expecting, I think is something that is really cool and special. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Tony for taking all of the extra time out of your day to do that for us, because it seems like fans are really excited about it. It has become a checkpoint in the G.I. Joe reveal process that I think is really cool. The kudos response to you, and please, do you want to talk about any of your feelings on the digital render reveals?
Oh, I've got so many feelings. Yeah. But no, it's really kind of become a life of its own. People reach out all the time for older renders and stuff, and I apologize, I will get to them at some point. But there's so many new figures that we come out with that we make renders for, and just the development. But it's nice to see people really enjoy that step, and thank you, Emily, for putting that step in there, because you've got our cadence of name reveal render reveal, and then maybe perhaps a live stream where we showcase the product and then the product photography, and it's like a nice sequence of events, and it's great to be able to show people that early in the process, because some things can change, so you kind of get a little worried about, what if something shifts a little bit, but the community's been awesome about understanding product may vary, and so I appreciate everything that people have said about those renders, and I'll keep posting them if you guys keep wanting to see them.
And I think it's the phrase that we use with HasLabs, I think also applies to anything that's digital render reveal, where it's like this or something better. So if we are changing something, we'll explain why, but the odds are that we are making the change either due to something that is absolutely not in our control, or because we figured out a way to make it even cooler for fans. Because I think that part of the drive to make these really cool things is that these are things that we want ourselves. We want these in our collections. So we want them to be as cool as humanly possible, because we're going to look at them when they're in our collections.
I mean, we keep them in our houses.
Yeah. And the way we look at the way we look at the renders, they used to be painted prototypes, so they were physically painted by hand, but now they're just digital. So we need people to internally even just understand that this is the ideal state that we want to get to through all the checks and balances through production. So even when we were doing physical, there would be variances as well. We just didn't have to put a disclaimer.
and on those items, so you're going to start the paint master, but we also go through 5 or 6 different samples from that. So it's digital, then it goes physical, no paint. And then from there, we see a bunch of other samples. So there is push and pull of where it's going to net out, but that's basically our goal. That's our target, is that digital render. But speaking of Hawk, we probably should round about and talk about the question on Hawk.
Also, blast effects, which are some of my favorite things that we do, because they are usually very ridiculous explosions.
Well, they need it, especially on the MMS like that, right? So the Hawk, it's Colonel Hawk, right? And we did update him a bit to be a little bit more classified than he is retro, because it's not a retro card back. So it's going to be a lot like the SMS, where it's a kind of like a unit on its own for classified itself. But on Hawk, you'll notice that he's got a little bit more modern updates to his gear. And then the MMS, of course, we had to get it in. I mean, we have the vamp in the line, so we need to have its toe behind. So I don't know much more I could say on the design or the philosophy. But,
would you like to say a little bit more?
Say it.
Go for it. Yeah.
What do you also want me to say? You want to say
I don't know.
I don't know.
What were you thinking?
Oh.
Were you just putting it out into the universe to be like, is divine inspiration going to strike for something?
I thought you said you want me to say something. I'm actually looking at a prototype right now as I do this.
I mean,
what else should I say about it?
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's gonna be cool. It's huge.
So let's see, what else can we say? Okay, so toe behind for the vamp, which is very cool. Also a little bit ridiculous, because I feel like the armaments on the MMS compared to the size of the vamp, if you saw it in real life, it would be very silly for the size of the toe behind, because it's so big compared to how big the vamp is. But like in a very G.I. Joe way, where everything it's kind of like everything's bigger in Texas, everything's bigger in G.I. Joe. What else can we say? I like, so for the shades of green, does Hawk identically match the MMS, or
no?
Are they
He doesn't.
Shades of green?
Hawk is our green shirt green, which is like we have 2 of them. Actually, no. We have more than 2 of them. If you remember back in the day in the old school Joes, there was multiple shades of green and gray for the green shirts. So I can't remember which Pantone. Big Pantone wants you to know. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. But we did go with one of the, I believe it's Rock and Roll's green color. And then the MMS itself does match the vamp. So there might be some color variance, because we can never promise that. It's just like I mentioned earlier with like the different steps of development. But that's the goal. So
I love it. Well, there's your sneak peek into shades of green. And which of those cool grays do we highlight for our green shirt friends?
No cool grays on that guy.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Not this time. It's a shame.
I don't know
My
if you guys
cool
can
gray
hear
heart will have to wait
my-
another day.
Can you guys hear my dog in the background? He's
No.
like chortling. It's the weirdest noise in the world. He sounds like an Ewok.
Which dog do you have, Lenny?
I have
Oh
a
God,
Boston
cutest dog
Terrier.
ever.
I have a Boston Terrier, and he makes
Okay.
like this like gurgling sound when he wants something.
I have a dog, but he's a pug, but he's a puppy about 3 months now.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
adorable!
amazing.
Congratulations
Oh, so
on your new
cute.
puppy. You know, we call Sparky. His name is Sparky. We call him Spark Pug because he kind of looks like a pug but with longer legs.
The name of mine is Arlie.
Arlie?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's cool. Cool name.
I had a pug as well named he's gone now, but his name was Diesel, and he was
That's
just
awesome.
My
little
previous
powerhouse.
one, my previous pug was the name was Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie's a good name.
Cute.
Charlie's a good name. This is a stand-up name, Charlie.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's see the next question. Tell me something. What has been the most difficult project or figure so far in terms of design that you ever done so far? Most
Ooh.
difficult project.
I would say the snake armor has been the hardest project yet because it went through a lot of different iterations. Because again, like we had to figure out how figures were going to go in and how it was still going to articulate. Because we wanted to make a robot that, I mean, I have the old school snake armor here. I've been brandishing
It's
it on
so
all the
little.
lives. But like the way it worked is like a coffin, right? So like the figures, and then the legs would come off too, and then it would like coffin in. That's not going to work for a 1/12 scale, highly articulated action figure. So we had to rethink what the snake armor was, and we pushed it. We're like, let's make it a snake mech. So then it got way bigger. I had kit bashed at a Transformers and a Trouble Bubble, and I had like Falcon driving around, and it was big. It was like maybe 9 inches tall. But then after we did control art, it grew a little bit more. And then after the control art, when we were working with engineers like, we need different wall thicknesses and it needs to fit a different way. And it got bigger and it kept on getting bigger. And I'm like, are they going to let me continue to make this? So then it ended up becoming over 11.5 inches tall. It's big. And it had to be. And it's kind of awesome. I think it's bigger because it's in a way it's more imposing. And then you guys saw in some of the promo art, like the battlefield of what it's doing to that city. But like I would also say too, from a design standpoint, like we tried to keep this aesthetic, but it started looking like one of those green eggs that people use to barbecue. You know what I'm talking about? Like big. It just looked like an egg. So then we had to give it some physique. And that's where you see the shoulders that like fold down to open up the door and stuff. So we V'd it out to make it feel more imposing and more powerful. But however, we did have to keep a lot of the elements, like the goggles on it, like on the boots you'll notice, or the legs rather. There's like vents. So there's a lot of nods to a lot of the surface textures or details that were on the old school vehicle, but we wanted to make it more classified. So we added a lot of more, intensity to it. So it was very tough though from a engineering standpoint and having to rework the design to work it within the engineering parameters. Because I hate saying it, G.I. Joe's a 4+ line. So you have certain parameters you have to keep to. But I'm going to stop yapping about it. You guys have anything?
That was great. I knew you would pick snake armor.
That was beautiful.
I remember seeing the back and forth with you and our partners working on it, and I said, "Oh, this one's a challenge."
Yeah, that one's tough.
But I do like how absolutely massive it is. When we were setting up, we had a diorama that we had to set up on our main street, which is kind of like our main hallway that at Hasbro, and G.I. Joe finally gets a podium this year, so we're very excited. And we put 2 of those snake armors, and we ran out of podium, basically.
We needed more podium.
Yeah.
Now with more podium.
But it looks great though. It looks great.
Tony, what's your hardest one that you worked on?
It's all the camo stuff. Whenever we go full camo, so I think that we call what do we call the soldier from
the rifleman? I remember
the rifleman.
I got text from you saying you're.
That was right. That was great though. I mean, it was like three shade color camo and on every piece, and we had soft goods on there too, which is always a kind of challenge just to develop digitally as well, so that presents a challenge, and just the amount of accessories and everything like that. So that's probably the most challenging from a digital standpoint, for sure.
Okay, Amy, do you want to add something about this topic?
My challenge babies would be the HasLabs.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
The way
everybody's challenge babies
HasLabs are it's so different than what we do for everything else, because we basically do development on them twice. So we do everything that we need in order to get up to campaign launch, and then we basically have to start the actual toy development after the campaign funds. And so it is a mad sprint to make just one, to be able to have it for campaign launch. And we're like, okay, let's do it all over again, basically.
I think, too, it's a wave of figures with a giant complicated vehicle on it, on top of your current waves of figures and the other complicated vehicles you're doing.
But it's always, I feel like there's a moment of awe that we don't necessarily have with the regular products that we do in the line, just because they're a little bit more traditional. We know what to expect when a wave of figures comes in. But the first time you get a HasLab sample for one of the big vehicles and everybody crowds around a table to watch it be unboxed, and we all go, oh my God, this thing is so cool. Like it's a really special moment for the team to be able to be like, okay, we worked really, really hard on this for 10 months before we put it in front of everybody. And sometimes this is even when we unbox our campaign model. So it's before anybody's even seen it. And we go, oh yeah, this is incredibly cool. So it's a nice moment for the team to get before a campaign launches.
Cool. And now, speaking of something cool, it's time for the outro song before to say goodbye. So let's do it.
Can't wait.
G.I. Joe, a real American hero. So thank you so much, Emily. Thank you, Lenny, and thank you, Tony, to be on my show, to share your passion about your work, and to continue to produce awesome G.I. Joe classified figure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, guys, thank you so much. I hope to have you back in the future, because I know cool stuff is coming. Thank you, Tony, for your debut on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And before to say goodbye to all of you, before to wrap the stream, there is just a fart. My English. A short, really short, because I translate also my book in English. So come on, what is my English? However,
better than my Italian.
You speak Italian a little bit, guys?
No, not at all.
I only know the curse words my mother would yell at me when I was in trouble.
The curse words. Okay. Yes, the curse words.
So let's say goodbye with this short, really short, fun video. Thanks for watching, my friends. And please smash that button, my friends. Please smash and subscribe. Help this channel to go to 100k subscribers, my friends. This is my dream. Please give me your love, guys. But also, guys, leave a comment and share this video with your friends, guys. But also, my friends, consider become a patron to choose the next content of the channel. And also, my friends, become a member to be my guest in my show. That's right. And now you can see this video, or maybe this other video, or maybe another interview, reviews, unboxing, stop motion, tutorial, and more for you guys. So thanks for watching. Thank you so much. And subscribe, my friends. And so long, everybody. So long, my friends.